What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin all through the Grayscale Trust today. Yes, LTCN, BCHG, and GBTC are going to be the points of tonight's topic. I'll be starting off with LTCN, moving on to BCHG, and finishing it up with GTC. Now, I know I did make pretty extensive videos yesterday talking about two of these. I'll probably go a little bit more in depth on GBTC and just do a quick little rundown on LTCN and BCHG because not a lot's changed. It's the weekend, right? Not a whole lot's changed. But the other Corey, you did request this, and Fathom, you requested GBTC, so we're gonna talk about it, and do some analysis, man. That's why I know some people save their chart layouts, and I think there's benefits to that, and I should probably, I have premium on here, so I should probably save some chart layouts, but I like starting fresh because sometimes you notice things that you didn't notice before. On the contrary to that, sometimes you miss things that you noticed before, but because you're starting fresh, you didn't. Very nice rounded bottom, solid accumulation phase here, volumes building, definitely building as you're moving up. I would expect that at some point you are going to come back. I think you're maintaining this uptrend for sure, but like it looks like this, right? maybe it gets more extreme, maybe it gets less extreme, maybe it's right on like with that middle one, whatever. But you're going to have to come back down. Is all I'm trying to say. And if you don't come back down, what's going to happen is that you're boring for a little while, little dip, and then boom, and then run up, something like that. But you don't have to stop here just yet, though you are on your RSI. Let's see, what is it? You're at 88.61 on your RSI. On the daily, you are right at about the same, actually. Decreasing volume on the daily, not really. Like, yes, it's smaller than this spike here, but it's bigger than like what you've seen relatively as you're breaking out. So it's it's kind of hard to say that volume isn't increased. I think the volume's fine. Very strong RSI though. I would kind of expect that you do see a turnaround. Maybe you open up the day on Tuesday, not Monday, right? Somebody corrected me. I forget who it was, but somebody corrected me, and I knew that. I knew Monday was Christmas, but I forgot whenever I was just talking on autopilot yesterday. But we will not be opening up on Monday. We'll be opening up on Tuesday. Maybe we do open up higher and then we drop, something like that, or maybe we open up lower, something like that. Whatever. But what's up, bud? Anyways. Let's see. Pretty overbought on the daily. Very, very overbought, right? You could get more overbought. It's absolutely possible. But you've been up in this zone for a while. You have this, I know I pointed this out yesterday, you have this ascending trend line here. The RSI is on a fixed scale of 0 to 100. You can only go so high, right? So at some point, you are going to break, even if you went all the way up here, which I doubt, right? I don't even know if you go up too much higher, but you're going to probably come down here. Maybe you find support off of this line one more time, and then you form a lower high while having a higher high in the price, and that would be hidden, or that would be bearish divergence. But maybe you don't. Maybe, and I know I've got a lot of lines drawn here, but maybe you just break straight through it on the next pass. Maybe you do. Maybe you go all the way up to 100, but one way or another, this is coming to the end of its trend. And what I would say is really when Litecoin starts moving down, you're probably going to break this. I don't mean that if it comes down now that you're probably going to break this. I just mean like whenever it sees a more substantial correction than what we've seen recently, like at any point really since August. When we see a more substantial correction, you're probably going to break this trend. That's all I'm saying. And it's coming to the end. It wouldn't surprise me. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if you broke through this trend line on the next attempt down. It also wouldn't surprise me if you bounced off it. I'm undecided on how to feel about that. But I guess my gut, whatever that's worth, would be saying that it breaks it on the next attempt down, especially with the finish like this, man. So I would think, I feel pretty comfortable in saying LTC is going to see some downside soon, but it very well could go up to $16 from here, and there's a few reasons for that. If you take this top here to the bottom, your 786 is all the way up here at about $15.70. That's really close to $16. Maybe you don't quite hit $16, but you go somewhere around there. If we take the overall high to low, maybe this most relative high, Your 382 is right there around $16 as well. There, you've got this price action down here, kind of area of support, could turn into resistance. Also, maybe you go, these are just lines. The 382, it's just a line on the fib scale. It's not a requirement. It's not a wall. It's not a barrier that you need to break through. It's just an idea. So you could go higher. You could go all the way up to this previous area of resistance in this price range up here. Maybe move all the way up to $25. Maybe you see a really quick pump all the way up to $25 in just phenomenal fashion. That to me feels a lot less likely than the $16 area. But who knows? Anything can happen. All that to say, I think LTCN goes up a little bit more. I think it has a little bit left in it. And then it'll probably see an immediate drop back to this like $7.22 area. If not, somewhere below $10 is what I would think. So somewhat of a substantial correction. Maybe it's quick. Maybe it's slowly played out and it bleeds. If that doesn't happen, what would happen then would be like you just move sideways for a while and you give this average or this like curved line a chance to catch up to the price. But if it's not exciting to the downside, I don't think it's going to be exciting to the upside for too much longer, but if it's not exciting to the downside, it's going to be very boring for both sides, one way or another. But that's LTCN. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, just more or less more of the same stuff from yesterday. BCHG, probably the same thing. USD, Grayscale. Come on, Grayscale. Okay, looking good. Overbought as well. Overbought as hell. Looking like you could go a little bit higher as well. Top to bottom here, yeah. Your 1618's all the way up at 457. Here you are at about 420. Where? Oh yeah, don't worry about it. You are finding support on your 1272. You're finding it time and time again. I would very much think that you go up to about $4.60. You could go all the way up to 576. A lot of cryptos, and this isn't technically a crypto, it's just based off of crypto. They like their 1886s, man. Don't take that to the bank. It's not all cryptos, but I've just noticed it, a few times here and there for various cryptos. Mana is one of them that stands out in my mind, but I digress. Top to bottom, 0.5 is right there. I mean, look at this. Okay, so your 2272 is all the way up here. Your 618's at $8.07. I think that price is possible, and very soon is it possible for BCHG. But what needs to happen is one thing. BCH, actual physical BCH, needs to pump first. It needs to. We need to break out. If this thing can break out and get above $300, maybe even get toward that $400 area, $500 area by the end of this month, before the halving, which I definitely think it will, but I'm surprised at how much this has kind of been lagging. But again, that the past couple weeks I've been saying if it doesn't break out this month, it'll probably happen in January, because we don't remain stagnant for this long with BCH, traditionally speaking. And that kind of a breakout could produce higher prices for BCHG. It absolutely could. And that 2272, down here, right here, 2272 lining up with the 618 golden ratio, that gives me a little bit of encouragement to believe that we could see prices all the way at $8 for BCHG in a very short amount of time, which I know sounds crazy, but the RSI looks good, the volume looks good, it all looks good, man. Daily RSI looks really good as well, actually. Let's see. Come on now. Same kind of thing as Litecoin, though, right? This RSI only moves up to 100, so you can only maintain this uptrend for so long, but it does look like you want to go higher. I mean, you could go higher than this. It's at 86.76, and again, Litecoin could do it too. You could go up higher, and then on your next attempt, maybe then you get some bearish divergence, and then with that you break it out. Maybe you don't. Maybe you find support again and you further that divergence. It could be months. It could be months before this thing really decides to move down. But all that to say, man, I do think it wants to go higher. I think what you just did was you broke out of this kind of consolidation phase, consolidated, and you've just broken out of that with high volume. I think you're just getting started. I think BCHG is going to go higher. Litecoin, LTCN, I also think goes higher, but it's near its top, where BCHG might not be as near its top, at least in total like price valuation goes. But that's all I got for BCHG. I hope that makes sense. If you guys want to see my long-term predictions for BCHG and LTCN, you can You can click on yesterday's video, or I guess I could just do that here. 250 to 1500 for BCH. I would lean probably around, I mean, I don't know, man. Let's see. Yeah, I would probably lean around like this 1414 being the maximum potential. Sorry if I got anyone excited with this, but I would say that's probably like the maximum potential for BCHG. This is possible, I suppose, but that I don't know, man. Bitcoin Cash would have to do some crazy stuff. BCHG would have to do some crazy stuff, but this would be, this, I could see this happening with BCH being around 20 to 25K. I could see that happening. This could happen, if, we take that in half, it's around like 13, 12K, something like that. That could happen. Both of these to me are very realistic, but something like this would require a lot higher of a number from BCH, or if BCH doesn't do that, this thing would just have to go sporadic, man, crazy, which it's possible, but I do at least expect 250 for this thing by the end of cycle. And here we are sitting at 418 right now. Let's look at LTCN real quick. I can draw that same kind of fib dynamic on there for you. All-time high to all-time low. Yep. Which, by the way, double bottom. Like this whole bottoming action for LTCN, you guys, it's so beautiful. Like this is the kind of stuff, like when you're buying back here, it seems so boring, but as you see it develop, you start to salivate, man. Like this looks really, really good. And I know I wasn't as excited in like the immediate term for LTCN, but overall in this cycle, guys, it's got very huge potential, and we're gonna go over that right now, right? Bitcoin BCHG is at $4 and something, right? Well, what's it at? Let's go back. Let me do this real quick. Come on now, load it up. I might have froze it. I did freeze it. Ugh. Come on now. Okay, whatever. That works. BCHG is at 418, basically 420, and I have like a minimum projected target at $250, which I think is like it's like a 40x. No, it's like a 50. My bad. 59, almost a 60x for the minimum, right? LTCN for its minimum. Come on now. From its current price, its minimum would be already a 163x, right? Like that's insane. Yeah, 163x. Yep. Because if you do, yes. For anybody who's wondering how you do like the math behind this, like to get it, you just take 2 decimals away. That's it, right? So you get 162, but you always add 1. Because 100% is a 2x. 100 is a 2x. So you've got that 100% in there, but it's 200%. It's a 3x. 163x. I don't know if that makes sense, but just move the decimals over 2 places because it's percentages. But that would be the minimum from the current price. So a lot of people ask me too, like, what do I think's the better investment? And between Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, I like Bitcoin Cash a lot more. As a hard asset, I very much do. But on the trusts, on the Grayscale trusts, I think LTCN is going to stomp BCHG. I truly, you guys, because I think Litecoin has a solid chance of even seeing a $2,000 price by the end of this cycle, let alone the Grayscale trust. And if Litecoin stops out around 1,000, maybe it doesn't see this minimum. Maybe it does. Maybe it even goes higher. But like that same kind of general area, that's a 372x, 372 to 100. And like this thing looks really good. So enough of that. Let's talk about GBTC real quick before we move on. Actually, I want to just say I'm not just saying these numbers. I very much do believe that they are not just possible but likely to happen for both BCHG and LTCN. I think they're very, very, very likely. I would be shocked if you didn't get near this price by the end of this cycle for LTCN. Something bad would have to happen with LTC, let alone the fact that you'll probably see your all-time highs again. If not, I would very much think that you break your all-time highs. And this is your minimum projected target. It's all the way up here. And if you weren't to achieve that, let's say you go in between this, right? Maybe you don't achieve that. That's still a 72x. Maybe you barely break your all-time highs. That's still a 42, 43x. So nothing to be ashamed of either way. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are talking about selling this thing when it breaks $100, when it breaks $300, $400, $500 even. There are solid price projections above $2,000, around $2,300. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going over it so much with LTCN because I feel like I was a little, maybe not harsh, but just a little bit more realistic with the idea that it's going to see a little bit of a drop soon, that I wanted to give it credit for being probably the more profitable investment between BCHG and LTCN. But I don't know if I would, I mean, personally, I like to buy the hard asset more, so I'd probably just buy BCH in itself. But with that being said, I do think LTCN outperforms BCH and BCHG. But looking at this here, GBTC now, talking about this on the Grayscale Trust, man, it's crazy. This is crazy. I think it's crazy too, just to like put in perspective as well, that Bitcoin had a higher double top. GBTC did not. So just be aware of that. Just because price is going up doesn't mean that the trusts have to go up. You know, that's also my one thing that kind of scares me on these potential like crazy new highs coming in for BCHG and LTCN. They don't have to work that way, but you do seem to show respect on your fibs to some degree with these trusts. But look at this, right? Top to bottom here from previous cycle, you didn't even hit your 1272. Right, you didn't even hit it. So that same thing again, just applying that thought back to LTCN. Maybe you don't see $2,300. Maybe you only see 1,000 only. That's still crazy, right? But I'm just saying you don't have to see that 1272 extension with these things. They're a little bit different. Though again, just to show, they do respect their fibs. 618 respect there, held on a closing basis that 236 support. A little bit of respect on the 0.5 here. When you broke the 618 on the next attempt, you just went straight through, man. You really should have hit this 1272. I'm surprised you didn't. But all in all, I think you will in this market. You'll probably even break $100 on GBTC, man. Let's see what else you do. Weekly looks pretty good. Weekly RSI does look pretty good. You're very overbought, though. Very hot for a while now. Man. It looks really strong, though. You could go up more. You absolutely could. Let's look at the daily. Oh, actually, I do want to keep the weekly real quick. Real quick. If it'll load. We're going to take a second. Oh, man. I had water somewhere. I don't know where it went. But we're letting this load. You know what? While it's loading. Okay, dang. There it is. All right, so real quick. Top to bottom. Come on now. Ooh, breaking your 786, huh? Oh man, it's crazy. Something just dropped out there. 618 retracement maybe at some point. Maybe you only go to the 6.9. Oh man, that'd be nuts though. I don't know if you do. This thing's just unstoppable, man. You broke through your 618 on the first attempt. Sorry, I got thrown off by that stuff outside. Maybe you don't go to that. Maybe you do go to 29.63. That is possible at some point, but maybe not right now. Maybe you have a little bit higher to go. Let's look at the daily. Daily RSI in proportion to the price. Let's see. I don't know, man. It's looking like at some point it's going to give to the downside. But also, I think you do want more. I think you want more to the upside first. It's hard to say. It really is. I mean, man, you've got this bearish divergence, right? It's there. It's definitely there. Can't deny it. You did see a little bit of a move down here, but it didn't. I wouldn't say that fulfills the bearish divergence, man. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know, man. I want to say that like just the price itself looks like it wants to go higher. I would think around this $43, $44 area. That RSI is hanging me up real quick. I don't know. Next week might be more telling, man. Maybe Bitcoin takes a crap next week. Maybe it does, which doesn't go well with what I'm thinking for Bitcoin. Let's see. Sorry, I'm so indecisive with this, man. I'm sorry, but you know, I made a video talking about the Santa Claus rallies for Bitcoin, and I very much do expect that we would see some movement upwards to like 50K, and that kind of price movement for GBTC would probably push it beyond 50, right? If it's at 44 right now, nope. GTBC. Oh, it's a little bit lower though. I don't know. Still selling at a discount on GBTC, right? I'm pretty sure. Isn't it like it's not a 1-to-1, but like that should be like 39 if this is 39, if BTC is 39 or 40. Oh no, it's 40. It's 44. So shouldn't that be like 44 if it was to be at like a neutral? I don't know. I don't know what the ratio is for GBTC, but I think it's at a discount right now. This is a good one, man. It's hard to say. You are very overbought. You will probably see a correction at some point, right? You've been overbought before. Correction for a couple months there. Overbought here. Correction, or maybe not a correction, but consolidation. Consolidation, right? Massive correction. Up here for a while, and you consolidated and then dropped off for a while. Which I wouldn't compare this to that. I really wouldn't compare this to that at all. This was nonstop to the upside, and then months of repercussions because of that. This was very controlled all the way up. You've faced some uncontrolled movements thus far, though, so you probably do get a little pullback at some point. So maybe again, I know I opened up the video, or opened up this part of the video talking about how, oh no, it wasn't that. It was this. It's this top to this bottom. Talking about how $25 might not happen, but I'm actually starting to get faith that you do see prices around the 618 again. You probably do, right? You've got these lows coming up like that. Like you probably come back down and find support off of that. Maybe not in the immediate term, but it could be. I mean, it could be as early as next week, but I'm thinking maybe the very end of this month, if not sometime in January, you're probably going to see it pull back. Until then, you're probably going to make a move up toward around $44, and that's the best I got for this thing, man. If I'm wrong, you're going to be making that move to $25, $20, yeah, probably around $25, $26, like very, very soon, if I'm wrong. So, but I doubt you break too much higher up above $44. I doubt you do. But that's all I got, man. If I had to give a winner to these three, I'd say BCHG looks the best in the shortest amount of time, assuming BCH breaks out. But overall, LTCN looks like the beast to beat for sure. GBTC itself, I didn't give end-of-cycle predictions for that yet. Look at this, overbought in the monthly already, man. That's crazy. Let's see. Right? I mean, look at this, right? So when you were overbought in the monthly, the first time, it was over here, right? It was in the midst of the 2015-2017 bull rally. But the time after that, when you were overbought, it was like near the tops whenever you came out of the overbought zone, right? You stayed in the overbought zone for a very long time, really, from like roughly like April of 2017 until basically 2018. You stayed in the overbought zone. That's crazy. On the monthly, that's really crazy. Here, not as long, but whenever you did get into the overbought zone, it was very much toward like the first top, the actual high on this chart, but not the high for BTC itself. Man, this kind of makes sense. Something like this would make sense to me. That right now, we might have a little bit more to go. Maybe we finish with a nice wick to the upside, whatever. But this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months of consolidation before you broke out on GBTC. 10 months. Okay, so just check it real quick. Let's see. from here. 10 months would give us October of next year. We genuinely, you guys, crypto could be boring as hell. Maybe not all crypto. Maybe some altcoins do their things, but Bitcoin and most cryptos could be boring as hell through like most of next year. They really could. And I know a lot of people aren't expecting that, but let's look at Bitcoin real quick. Man, I know I'm going all over the place here. Real quick before we get on with this idea, top to bottom. 1272 is up at $100. It probably goes to $100 if I had to guess. Maybe it breaks it, maybe it doesn't. Psychological resistance. You didn't hit your 1272 there, so maybe you don't. But you know, this does like to be smaller apparently than the price itself, right? Like that's at 59 where the top was at 69. And I don't know what the ratio is to this. I might be wrong because I feel like at bull cycle highs it wouldn't make sense for this thing to be selling at a discount. So I don't know what the ratio is for this, but like how much is this worth in comparison to one BTC or whatever. But if Bitcoin's going to be worth more than, and I do think it'll be worth more than 400K by the end of this cycle, Bitcoin will. I would think that this thing would break like $200 or $300. And I know that that's crazy. I know that sounds crazy. But do we even have any fibs that line up with that? Let's see. 200 at the 1618. I don't know about that. And I don't know about 800, but yeah, 200, maybe 360, something like that. It could happen by the end of the cycle. Here you are sitting at about $36, $37. So 100x-ish is kind of possible. A 90-something-x is possible with this thing, especially if it dips down and you buy it lower. And if not, you know, 207 is not bad either. But let's see. Let's look at Bitcoin real quick. Okay, I'll show you what I was talking about before I finished up with that. Don't pay attention to these lines. There. I mean, maybe this line, but this is, I don't know. This is some old line from probably whenever I was like genuinely like starting trading, like years ago. That line, I could get rid of it, guys. I could get rid of it, but that line has been there since like genuinely probably like 2017. Like it just hasn't moved. Maybe 2018, but I don't know. I've just never deleted it for whatever reason. But enough about that. This line is irrelevant. Okay, I don't know why it's even on there. This line maybe not so much. That actually could be relevant. But we're not going to focus on that. What we're going to focus on is the price. Okay, so Bitcoin's very first halving was in November of 2012. November. Okay, so here we are, November 2012. It's actually November 28th, if I remember correctly, which would be closer to December. But Bitcoin more or less consolidated. We moved up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months going into the halving, essentially. It was sideways. Really, it was 4 months going into it, and then 1 month after it was sideways, and then it moved up. Okay, cool. That's actually very small. The next halving was in July of 2016. July here, we had a run up into it, but then the month of the halving, we actually were red, and we followed through with some red side, and we more or less consolidated, moved sideways for about 6 months, and then really we didn't move up too much higher. I mean, we steadily kind of did, but we really didn't like break out for 11 months, something like that, you know? Like that's when we had like that kind of breakout move there. Slowly marched, but really it was like 6 months of stagnation. The last halving that we had was in May of 2020. We did dump before the halving and we did rally into it, but more or less like we kind of were moving sideways for a long time, right? Like if you really look at it for what it is, price was not outside of this low or this high too much for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 months, like almost a year of just stagnation. And yes, a little bit of excitement in COVID, but it got given right back as soon as it happened to. But May of 2020, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months afterwards is when we started moving up. Okay, so 5 months after the halving. We've gotten 5 months twice and 6 months, or no, we had 1 month the first time, but it was like 5 months of stagnation, right? 4 months before that, 6 months on the second time, and 5 months on the most recent time. So if the halving happens in April of 2024, which it could happen in March, it could happen in May, it'll probably happen in April, but maybe it happens in March even, but let's just say March. 5 months from there would be September of 2024. 6 months would be October of 2024, which is crazy, right? It's kind of crazy because we go back to GBTC. What started all this, if you remember, grand finale, finish it up, is that on the monthly, when we first moved up here, we consolidated for how long? Right? When we were overbought like this, we had a nice blow off top, not blow off top, but like nice move up to finish it, right? But we consolidated for 10 months, and then on the 11th month we broke out. We consolidated for 10 months. We went down. Actually, yeah, we went down into the halving and then consolidated. This top was actually literally the month before the halving. I don't think we're going to continue to grow until March, but 10 months from now, being in the similar area in the RSI, maybe we go up, maybe we even go up in January, but I kind of doubt it, honestly. But if we were to consolidate for 10 months, that takes us to October, which is 5 to 6 months after the halving. It might be a very boring 2024 for the most part. That wouldn't surprise me at all, you guys. That really wouldn't surprise me at all. I think a lot of people are jazzed up for 2024, and I am too. I do think Bitcoin can break its all-time highs in 2024. I even think breaking 100K is possible in 2024. I'm not as sold on that, but I think it is possible. But it's going to happen in the later half of the year, the last quarter of the year. It's going to, it's going to happen like that because most of 2024, I think, will be boring. It'll be there's a lot of attention on crypto right now for the ETFs, plural ETFs, spot Bitcoin ETFs, and a bunch of other things. But I don't think we're going to get to the ETFs. I don't think we will. I think the halving will do what it normally does, and it just causes us to consolidate. We'll have a dump going into it probably at some point before, which makes sense because we're pumping now. You tend to dump after a pump, right? You pump after a dump. And then it's just going to bore a lot of people. There's going to be, and maybe the reason for that stagnation too is because there's all this hype around the ETFs, which who cares? Like really, who cares? These ETFs are not as significant. Like guys, Bitcoin can make it to $10 million without these ETFs. It absolutely can. Maybe it doesn't happen as fast, but it's still going to happen ridiculously fast. And maybe it's like takes an extra cycle or two. But Bitcoin can still reach ridiculous, phenomenal, and 10 million is just child's play because in the grand scheme of things, in time, this thing will be worth a ton of money in US dollars, like eventually, because the dollar's meant to go down. Bitcoin is stationary in its total supply, so it'll only go up. If demand goes down, if the rate of demand goes down, but there's still demand for this thing, and the supply stays the same, then the price will still go up, basically. Because there's not an increase in supply just because there's a loss in the rate of demand, right? Maybe it's going up like this. This is your demand. Maybe it still goes up, but the rate declines, but the price is still going to grow exponentially because the total supply is stationary and the supply being put into the market is inflationary but at a deflationary rate. It's all mathematical design to just pump this thing versus the US dollar, because the US dollar is inflationary at an inflationary rate. And the US dollar is designed to just go to zero. So I'm getting off on a tangent, but over time Bitcoin will beat the dollar. It's inevitable. It's math. It's literally math. Anybody who argues with you that Bitcoin's worthless and that the dollar will always reign supreme, they don't know math, because it's literally math, man. Bitcoin it's inevitable. It's like literally, unless we destroy ourselves, as a species, Bitcoin will overtake the dollar at some point. Technically, it already has, right? $1 is worth $1. One Bitcoin is worth $44,000. So technically, it's already overtaken the dollar, but it'll overtake the dollar in market cap is really what I meant to say. But what I'm trying to get at here, guys, all that to say to end this video is we're probably going to see our relative top on GBTC soon, probably around that $45 area. Is that what it was? I forget. yeah, 44, around 44 to 45, sure, somewhere there around that 886, and then we probably pull back to around $25 to $30 in GBTC. And all in all, GBTC will probably be stagnant, consolidating, maybe not completely stagnant, right? It went down, it went up, it went down, it went up, like throughout this. It wasn't like totally boring, but not expanding for a good bit of next year. Probably more than half a year from now, it will be consolidating. So, but that's all I got for you guys. So if you like the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. I hope I didn't generate more questions than I answered. I hope I answered your questions throughout this, but that's all I got. Yeah, if I had to give a winner, again, probably BCHG in the immediate term, but LTCN overall. But that's it. So hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you. Take care.